What's going on, guys? Stranger Things on Netflix. It's become kind of a phenomenon. People are talking about what's season 2 gonna be like? How about all that nostalgia? And how come we did not get more of Barb? But you know what no one's talking about? The science of it. So we called up our resident movie science expert to see if he wanted to talk a little TV science. So Dr. Clifford V. Johnson came on down, and without further ado, I present the science of Stranger Things. The collective IQ in this room just went up so many points. I am beyond thrilled to have back with us our old friend, he's been on the show several times, Dr. Clifford V. Johnson, physics professor at USC.
Happy to be here.
We normally talk movie science, but today we're venturing to the smaller screen. We're going to be talking some TV science, Stranger Things. I'd like to talk about some of the science, some of the exploration in this show. Tell us about parallel dimensions. Could something like the upside down world actually exist?
One of the great things about that subject matter is that we actually don't know for sure if such things could really exist. And so it's a wonderful playground for filmmakers, storytellers, etc. So I can't go in and say, oh, they got exactly this thing wrong about this parallel dimension or what have you, because we're still playing with the idea. But the overall idea that maybe space and time as we know it have more components that we have yet to discover is something that people consider a possibility.
The kid's teacher explains the other dimension and moving in the other dimension to them like an acrobat on a tightrope. The acrobat, representing humanity, can walk back and forth on this tightrope. But a flea can explore the other dimensions by going back and forth, upside down, underneath. Does that make any sense at all?
That is something that we, in my field especially, it's an analogy we use a lot, or something similar. Often, sometimes it's a drinking straw or a garden hose or what have you.
Have you heard this specific?
The acrobat and the flea, no. And so kudos to them for coming up with a new way of saying an old thing, and that's great.
Okay.
The idea is an important one. What they were trying to get across, they didn't quite get into it, so let me unpack it a little bit. Is that you have that long direction of the, moving along the rope.
Yes.
That's kind of an obvious one. So that would be like one of our obvious spatial dimensions that we can move in our world. And then there is the additional possibility of going around, and that's kind of a little direction you go in because it's just the circumference of the rope. So the idea is that might be hidden because it's so small you don't notice it. So the flea notices it, but not the acrobat because it's too small.
Is there a parallel dimension where Barb got more screen time?
What happened to Barb?
Spoiler alert, she got killed.
No one seemed upset about it?
I thought Barb got short shrift.
Poor Barb.
Do you feel it possible that something, someone, a being from another dimension could find its way into our world?
Here's the thing. One of the problems is how you get back and forth from sort of our world to one of these other worlds. Exactly.
That's my impression of the monster.
Yeah. The same question works the other way, which is how would we go to this other world?
Yes.
And as the teacher explains, as far as we understand it, it would be very difficult, nigh impossible, because what you need to do is essentially modify how space and time are currently configured. You would have to essentially rip a hole in the fabric of space and time, which is extremely costly.
What's the difference between one of those portals, a wormhole, and a black hole?
Black holes we know exist in some form or other, in various forms out there in the universe. Those are themselves severe modifications of the fabric of space and time caused by gravitational collapse. They require huge amounts of matter and so on and so forth. We can't do that sort of thing on Earth. The problem with black holes is that they're essentially one-way doors.
Hey, listen, can't buy a round-trip ticket on a black hole. Am I right, Doc?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Or you come back in pieces. You come back essentially as the fundamental particles that make you up.
Can you say that like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Or you come back in pieces. No, I can't do that.
That's great. Okay, we digress. If you ripped a hole in the fabric of space and time, would that cause a portal?
They said something very nice at one point. They go, we want to have a thing that takes me from one place in the universe to the other or to another universe. And I go, well, that seems implausible that you'd be able to do that because it would require, the energy of several, billions of stars, right? Right, good.
Oh, yeah.
But what if nature already made them? and all we have to do is find them. And essentially, they have a little bit of that idea in the show, which is great. There's the hint that maybe those holes are already there. It's just a matter of finding them.
There was a portal in the TV show, one of which was in a tree.
Yes, the one in the tree was amusing.
Could that be a real thing?
That would not be anywhere like the first page of my long list of places I would look for a portal.
In the show, energy required to open a portal or cause a portal to manifest really messed with the magnetic fields around it. Would that happen in real life?
There was a nice piece of physics in there that is not implausible, and it would be a great way of detecting them, and they use that, the compasses, etc.
Yeah, the compasses went wiki-wacky.
Right.
Winona Ryder's character, Joyce, communicated with her son through Christmas lights. Does that have any bearing on anything we know?
I connect this to the magnetic field thing. The idea that what's going on is somewhat tenuously connected to our world in the sense that you can influence one world through the other if you know what you're doing, or accidentally. And one of them is through the lights. Now, light, as you know, and electricity is an electromagnetic phenomenon.
Was not aware of that.
And if connecting the two worlds messes with magnetic fields, then you can see a connection there. And I think that's what they're going with.
So walking it back a step, not just the Christmas lights, but it messes with the electricity.
What's really going on is that electricity is being messed with in a very local sense.
What do you think of their depiction of the parallel world? Let's say you were the art director on this show or a movie. What would you paint the parallel universe like?
First of all, in all likelihood, the physics there it would be completely different from ours, which unfortunately means that it would just be bonkers, right? Which isn't very interesting from the point of view of writing a good narrative. So instead you go the other way and you make it extremely similar, but.
Yes.
And I like that. So another analogy people tend to use is that you might have something like a lot of pages in a book. Each page of the book, you can move around on that page. It's like moving around in our world. But then there's a neighboring page. And that page is right next to the page that's our world. So it's not very far away in terms of real distances you would travel. It could be a fraction of a millimeter. But if you can't move in that direction, you'd never know.
For all we know, we could be in a whole library of parallel universes with every page of every book in that library containing its own universe.
Yes!
Did I just blow your mind?
Oh, we think about similar things all the time, but let's write a paper.
All right. I just had a very common thought.
No.
They built a sensory deprivation tank.
I love that.
With salt water in a kiddie pool.
Yes.
Is that what you do?
100 times, yes. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the scientific accuracy of that, more or less. The great thing is, there are two reasons this is great. One is that they're doing a good scientific thing, which is they're trying to reproduce conditions under which something that had been done before could be done again. We need to build a tank, like the one she was in the lab. And so, because there's no internet, what do? You call teacher, which is great.
You're in a romantic situation, a hot date, movie night, watching, I believe it was The Thing that they were watching. A student calls you, 10 p.m. on a Saturday. What do you do?
If I hear the sort of passion and urgency in his voice that the young kid had, and he wanted a piece of knowledge, and I could give him that piece of knowledge in that moment, I probably would. He made a good case.
You're a physics expert. Explain to me the physics of Steve Harrington's hair. It was just... it had a...
Do you remember the 80s? It was
Vaguely,
a time of extraordinary laws of physics when connected to hair.
Yeah.
The whole time. And then,
So much body.
Right, and the shoulder pads later on and stuff like that. So physics was being deeply explored in interesting ways when it came to fashion in those times.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Mike Wheeler's dungeon master skills?
That's a great question. He seemed pretty good. He really got into it. He acted things out and so on and so forth. That was good. I don't think I had a dungeon master, or when I did dungeon mastering, I don't think I sort of did a full acting out of the death of one of the characters or things they encountered. So that was good.
Bottom line, as a physicist, how does Stranger Things fare?
As a physicist who enjoys seeing storytellers use physics ideas in a creative and interesting way, I think they did a good job. There's a lot of stuff in there that's just made up, and that's okay. because I think the foundation got across some fun ideas that people are now talking about and thinking about. And that's the purpose of art. They set the groundwork, they sprinkled in some fun physics ideas, and then they worked with it, and they built, and I think they were more or less internally consistent, and I think that's good.
Great.
That's a pass.
Dr. Clifford V. Johnson, I just want to tell you, if I'm ever trapped in the upside down world, I hope someone calls you to help rescue me.
I'll do my best.
That's all I can ask for. Thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you, sir.
It's great to be here.
Well, that was fun and educational. What did you think of Stranger Things? Have you been experimented on by the Department of Energy? Do you think Dr. Clifford V. Johnson would answer his phone on a Saturday night? Let us know in the comments section. We want to know. I want to thank you for watching Screen Junkies. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye.
In a world where every network spends millions to get the attention of Emmy voters, the only way we knew how to build hype for our own Emmy nomination was to make fun of the TV shows the voters work on. Wait, go back. We got nominated for an Emmy? Like an Emmy? That's awesome! But wait, then why are we making fun of all their shows? This is a terrible idea, you guys. Honest Emmys.